Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Guided with Sookton. I am your host, Suki Iluterio, and this is a podcast where we discuss all of the topics that are near and dear to the elevation of your soul. Welcome. Today I have a special guest with me, somebody that I found from YouTube, and I'll tell you about how I found her in a second. I have with me Liza Colpa. She's a yoga, meditation, and wellness teacher. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I almost said to you, welcome too. We're welcoming each other to the space and to the practice. So thank you.
Well, it's heart to heart, so it's always nice to find a fellow yoga teacher. I was just speaking about you, and I'm going to share with my audience that I'm very picky about yoga teachers that I find on YouTube because I've taught yoga for 10 years. I've been in and out of so many yoga studios. I've been to retreats and things like that. So it takes a lot for somebody to kind of capture my attention. And you captured my attention. First of all, it's always nice to see another brown goddess in the yoga space. So that's the first thing.
Yes, it is always nice. Yeah. Thank
The
you.
second thing, your voice was so soothing and you just had such a beautiful, peaceful energy about you. So I'd love to know like how you got into yoga in the first place and how you ended up being here where you are, if you could tell us your backstory.
Thank you, Suki. So, like many healers and people who are drawn to these practices, it's mostly because of trauma. So, I am a survivor of transgenerational domestic violence, complex trauma, as well as sexual assault. So, I, at the age of 16, was quite angry and needing to not really knowing how to process any of that, right? How do we process? They call it complex trauma, but I feel like we need a bigger a word for it, like soul shattering circumstances, soul shattering experiences, things that will break individuals not if not looked at, or if not taken the time to be supported or worked through. And at 16, I was completely thinking that healing was through a space of achievement. Healing was from a space of, oh, if I get the A, I get the validation from the teachers, if I'm, class whatever, if I am head of this and president of that and the lead in this show, then that's going to be healing for me. Success will be healing. And that was the opposite. It drained, it overwhelmed. I was an overachieving teenager that felt lost and felt like a ghost or a shell. And I remember wandering around my house at the age of 16, not being able to eat, not being able to sleep, and just crying. Luckily, I just found my therapist and I'm still with her, like 17 odd years later. And my sister at the time also had suggested, well, why don't you come with me to yoga? And I was like, what's yoga? And it was just a portal. Everything opened after that. And such a healing modality for me. I think that it's okay to not enjoy the practice. And I love what you said, Suki. It's like not everyone vibes with the teachers sometimes. And there's so many different types of yoga. There's so many ways to go about it. So I'm happy that we found each other and we connected. But I think to be open to exploring now that we know that these things, how they can support us in a healing way for those who are seeking tools of support, there's so many ways to go about it. So that's how I found these practices.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And it's interesting because just last week with my guests, we were also talking about like talk therapy and the importance of it too. And I think within the spiritual community, we have a lot of people. Like if you're guiding people, it's so important that you're making sure that you're being guided yourself, that you have the support that you need. You know, coaches need coaches, healers need healing. So that's I love that, and I love that you've had this therapist that you trust and that you work with, and very similarly, my past guest was saying a very similar thing. I went through 8 years of talk therapy and counseling. I'm so grateful for it. I don't think that I would have been able to show up for my clients and for the people that I serve if I wasn't showing up for myself first, right? And taking all that time to kind of process through things in my life. So Beautiful share, beautiful. There's another element that you mentioned within your yoga a little bit, and I've seen that you talk about online, and this is astrology. So I'm curious how astrology came about for you and how you use it in your personal practice or in your practice with your clients.
Yeah, astrology is actually a very new addition to my services, and to be honest, I got into it through the idea of witchy wellness, and I talk about that a lot, or the modern mystic, and I think I think when it comes to those things, the woo things, it's very easy to either say, "Oh, this is just ridiculous," and kind of, pass it by, or to get lost in the sauce and be like, "I can't go and to the grocery store today because my astrologer said not to go to the grocery store today." So there's these extremes. And instead I started to use and look at astrology, which I always followed me since I was a kid, always into the zodiacs, always into, oh, hold on, sorry, let me go over that again. I was always into astrology and always into the zodiacs. And around, I believe, when I was getting into tarot and using these witchy like tools, astrology, divination, not in a way to re-traumatize anyone, not in a way that's like, this is what's going to happen to you. Tomorrow, your pet goldfish is going to die because Mars is here and Saturn's there. Just to look at these themes and these symbols and the dance within the cosmos and meditate upon it and reflect on these themes and say, well, if this is what the dance is this is if this is what the conversation is, I'm not going to say this is what's going to happen. I'm not going to say this is what it is. I'm going to reflect upon it and say, how can I relate to this? How can I use these themes to cultivate a healthier and better perspective for my own life and for people around me? For example, we're just talking about Mercury retrograde, and I love that you were sharing that some people put so much stock in it, and we re-traumatize ourselves. We re-traumatize. Oh my gosh, Mercury retrograde! It's like, come on, guys. It just means the Earth is passing Mercury, and it seems to look like Mercury is going backwards. But the theme of Mercury retrograde is to go internal, is to slow down, is to be adaptive. So when things come up, because things will come up regardless of where the planets are, how do we best work with these themes to grow as people? So that's how I use astrology in a more modern magic and modern medicine kind of way.
I love it. I think there's so much power in us connecting with the stars too, and our even our ancestors were always connecting to the stars, Even if you look at things like the pyramids and the fact that they were thinking about the stars when they were building these beautiful, huge buildings and creations. It just there's something there, and what I always find fascinating about it is that for me, it took me so long to recognize that I and everyone else does have this strange connection with the stars, with nature, with the tides, with the moon, with the sun. It took me forever, but when we reconnect to our feminine energy, our yin energy, right, and our somatic energy, which is the class that I ended up taking on your YouTube channel, is like when we like slow down, which is what Mercury invites us to do when we slow down and when we tune in and we listen to this feminine energy and we listen to these rhythms, soon we uncover a pattern. And within that pattern is a little bit of a blueprint of your life, of the way that you're supposed to move and the way that you're supposed to show up. For me, astrology has also been powerful since I was a little girl. Since I discovered about it and found out that I was an Aries, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense.
I'm an Aries too, so I love that.
Love it. I love connecting with my fellow Aries. When you have so much fiery energy and then you just want to try and figure out how to use it because nobody ever taught you how to use it and where to put some of this creative energy. And that's probably why for you and I, yoga is such a powerful practice because it teaches you to breathe, to tune into your body, to release some of that heat So much heat for me builds up and then I need to kind of release it. And sometimes if I don't get it on my yoga mat, which has been since the pandemic, I slowed down and I got off my mat and I stopped teaching. And then I recognized how I was holding a lot of this energy in my body because before I had taught myself to release it. But about astrology, learning about human design has been powerful too, because it's another way to kind of look at energy. The sun and the moon is powerful. Um, I love, like personally, I tell people to really get in tune with the sun and the moon when it comes to creativity, because everybody has a different rhythm and flow. For me, those hours at the beginning of the day between basically 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. are very powerful creation hours for me. If I can jump into creation, but also maybe taking time for myself to like fill my cup, do a little bit of yoga, pull some tarot cards or angel cards, just like be and then flow in that creative energy. Or the moon, for example, a new moon, I get a lot of creative energy. A full moon, I'm exhausted. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do anything. And everybody's different. So I'd love to hear your own experiences with, yeah, with the sun, with the moon, with the rhythms and the flow.
Yeah, I love that. You said all of that. I was like laughing. I have myself on mute because like don't want to interrupt any of what you're saying because it's really precious gems, but our rhythms, right? It's very interesting because it can seem strange. It's seemingly strange, but actually it's not strange at all. We're of nature. We're her children. It's not the other way around. So, of course, looking at the moon, looking at the stars, of course, planting your feet in the sand or in the grass or smelling the roses, all of that is of us. So when it comes to moon cycles, and I am very, very, passionate about the moon itself and that energy, it's about evolution. It's about having peaks and valleys and flows. And literally, our world is just so fascinating. What's strange about our world is it's so balanced in how it was created and how it is to the point where a full moon literally helps tides rise and a new moon tides are low. It's almost like the breath itself of this earth is full on full moon and softer and more shallow on new moon. It's emptying out the cup versus having a full cup. It's just very beautiful things. And as human beings, we like to meditate on these things. We like to make sense of our world around us. We like to be conscious of our world around us. So the symbolism of full and new moon and then bringing that down to practicality is I completely agree with you. On the full moon, if you want to take it easy, take it easy. And on the new moon, if you want to set an intention for yourself for this 28.5-day period, then go for it. Especially for those who have periods still, I think it's really important to recognize that the lunar cycles can be a great way to show you when you're getting your period and how that changes as you change, as you evolve. You may get your period around the new moon, and then 5 years later, you're getting your period around the full moon because that's the ebbs and flows of life. And looking at that symbolism and what that may mean to shed around that time. So, a couple of the rituals that I like to do is moon water and putting my crystals out during the full moon. And during the new moon, cleaning, like deep cleaning. We're trying to figure out, I mean, I think that's something we could always do periodically, but I think if we take it as an initiation symbol, right? An initiation symbol as, oh, the new moon's out and my space is kind of dusty. I can dust. New moon, not as I have to only clean around the new moon, but more of an invitation with these symbols to enhance our lifestyle practices.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask you as far as yoga as well, because a lot of the times, the American version of yoga is sweating in Lululemons on a pristine yoga mat. I think yoga is a little bit more than that. And, as a yoga teacher and as somebody that's like passing this beautiful craft down from generation to generation, we know that there's more to it. There's the meditative side, there's the philosophy, right? There's the way of living or way of being, the yamas and the niyamas. Like there's breathing and pranayama, like the breathing techniques. So what are some parts of yoga that you personally enjoy that you bring into your ritual and your space for healing? And what are some things that people could do if they want to tune into like their energy as well?
Yes. Yoga is so much more than, and I love that. And I feel, not to call anyone out, but I feel it's not just Lululemon. There are brands that are looking at Lululemon saying, "Oh, we could be the next Lululemon," instead of just holding true to the essence of what yoga is, which is a lifestyle. Yoga is a lifestyle. Yoga literally means to weave together, to yoke together. And I mean, loose translation, Sanskrit's a dead language, so I'm sure in 5 years a linguist will be like, actually, actually, but it is a lifestyle. It's that's the essence of it. Or at least that's what we're slowly understanding in our Western world. For me, when I get on my yoga mat, it's what am I bringing to the mat that I need to meditate on, process. It could be I am exhausted and I need to process how to commit to consistency, but without burning out. How do I move in an authentic and organic way for the present moment? How do I play with the theme of exploring the edge of my action when I'm also trying to nurture myself and slow things down? What happens if I completely slow it down and just move intuitively on my yoga mat? What does it? It's not just about doing, an inversion or going upside down. It's about having your heart over your head. That's such a big symbol. Your heart over your head. Your head will say, "Oh, I got bills, I got rent." And your head's right. Your head's right. Great. Keep it. Yeah, look both ways before you cross the street. But the heart tells you where you're going as you go down the road. Your heart tells you what's calling to you. So, what I like to practice most in yoga is the foundation of this is movement, health. The foundation of this is beautiful Hindu mythology as well as traditions and legacy, but also human tradition and legacy. So, but what is this really? It's not just, like you said, it's not just the physical. What am I doing? What am I actually doing? What am I actually practicing? This is moving prayer. This is moving meditation. So that's my yoga practice, always and forever. I'm not just going on, to get abs or a cute yoga booty. I'm going on because I'm processing something in my life.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, it's really powerful because it makes me think when you said the heart over the head and stuff like that. There are so many poses that are heart opening poses that, people will say, "Oh, I can't believe I came to your yoga class, Suki," and I cried. I said, if I don't make you cry in your yoga, in my yoga class, then I haven't done my job right. Like you are moving through emotion and the muscle holds on to so much emotion. We are made of fluid, right? We are fluid creatures and there's water in this body and so it wants to move and the emotions want to flow out. So like when you're going through your yoga practice, you find yourself getting angry, you find yourself laughing, you find yourself crying, then you are like tapping into something powerful because there's some emotion there that's been stuck or trapped and you're finding a way through it. That's why I always say the balance between talk therapy or having a coach or working with a healer and moving. Moving your body, right? So because there's only so much sometimes that your head can process the stuff. So when you're saying that about your heart over your head, it's really powerful because you can analyze it and think about it and swirl it around your brain over and over and over again. And then someday you have to move through it in your body, right? So yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to hear kind of like what you've been working on lately. Like what are some things, some aha moments for you, or some things that you're working on in your business right now that are powerful shifts as well. We're living in a powerful time and also a very chaotic time. So we need the tools. So if you have any tools on helping through the chaos as well.
Yeah, Uranus is in Gemini, and the last time it was there, it was World War II, and the time it was there before that was the Civil War, and the time it was there before that was the Revolutionary War. So Uranus and Gemini, and just kind of meditating on those real planetary positions and observing and going, oh, okay, not to freak out, not to re-traumatize, not to feel as if we should hide in bunkers, but simply to say, huh, interesting. What are the themes? What can we learn from history that we can bring into a more aware time period? And I do feel, yeah, we're in unprecedented, painful times. Wounds have reopened. We are angry, we are frustrated with one another. There is a clash of ideas, and everyone seems to have an opinion. And then we have the beautiful rise in this technology that can be a vehicle for a lot of good, but also a lot of the chaos we are experiencing. And going off what you were saying, Suki, about, the crying and all this, it creates messages for the nervous system. All of this sends messages to our nervous system. So in moments when I was looking at the stars and seeing that Uranus was entering Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius was also revolutionary time, I just was like, huh. And I can't help it, but my heart started beating a little and my nervous system started reacting a little. I'm like, this is scary. I was born in the 90s. I was born in peacetime. I was born in Renaissance area. I didn't sign up for this. But that's human life. We don't sign up for these things. We can only be there and say, okay, where's my work? Where's my work? So currently, right now, my work and focus is mostly I'm taking a trauma yoga training, and it's more clinical and it's more neuroscience based and it's a little bit more heady. But I want to link and say, no, 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 this isn't just woo-woo stuff. This is something that as you shared so beautifully, Suki, this is something that is literally playing out on our nervous system. We are water, or neuroplasticity theory. The brain is always creating more neural pathways, more connections. They say it's plastic, but to me, it looks kind of like plant roots. That as we heal, we gain more plant roots and more trees connect within our mind. So for me, it's that, and holding space and saying, okay, how can we look at Tara, astrology, yoga that has kind of unintentionally re-traumatized a lot of us? It's unintentionally shut a lot of us, as you said, brown people out, more curvy figured women, maybe transgender, maybe an other, right? Maybe an outcast or a renegade to what is within wellness, which is sad because that never was a thing. That has become a thing because Westernization in our society was like, well, this is what we're used to. This is our system. So if we're going to apply this practice, we're going to apply it to something we know. This is what we know. So to move it away from what this old world of what we knew and into this new world of having the hard conversations and recognizing things that are broken and healing and revolutionizing and empowering ourselves in a way, it's to understand that trauma, and always as a healer recognizing that healing is an onion, we're all onions, and that trauma healing is a ripple that goes on and on and on. It's very important to bring that into our Reiki healing, astrology, Tara, everything, to understand that if we are going to walk this path of not perpetuating these cycles, we need to understand that we have to do things a little bit different and view things a little bit differently, not to perpetuate harm, but to start to begin to heal, and environmentally, socially, as well as individually. So for me, I focus it more on the individual right now. And It's hard. I'm not gonna lie, Suki. It's hard because the Aries in me is like, yeah, I want to just burn everything down. Yes, let's go. Uranus and Gemini, yeah, you know. But our role as Aries is to learn the internal revolution can be just as powerful. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and sometimes, because I was just posting about this on my social the other day, or actually it was yesterday, today, and sometimes it's okay to just burn everything down because sometimes you just got to burn it down. And light that fire, watch it burn, and then start again. And you know,
Yeah.
and I think the Aries, the activators, the activation of the energy, you know, the kick-starting, the moving people, the pushing, like it's okay to be still, and then sometimes like we gotta go. Come on, let's move, let's go forward, and let's burn this down if we need to. But what you said is so powerful about the tr being trauma informed too, going back and as a you know as somebody that has stepped forward to lead other people, to lead with integrity and with caution, you know, you never know what somebody's going through when they step through to work with you, whether they work with you in coaching or healing or just on the yoga mat. Like you just don't know where anyone is. And so just kind of meeting them where they are, being soft and gentle, making sure you can hold that space for others and hold that space for yourself, kind of like comes full circle to the beginning of our conversation. So that is so powerful. I've written down a couple words here that I feel like we kind of discussed today. We talked about yoga, we talked about witchy wellness, we talked about astrology, we talked about earthly rituals and the sun and the moon, and it just feels really beautiful. We talked about being an Aries, which I love, because I barely meet that many Aries, so when I do, I get very excited. But are there any final things here that you wanted to end with? I love to also invite people if there's a favorite song or a favorite quote or a favorite book that you're reading right now, to just kind of share that with the audience too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be real because I'm not I'm gonna try to I'm divorcing the idea of the yogi on the ginkgo leaf that's like, oh, this book that I really love that will open your soul. But a song I really love and I'm listening to right now. Well, I'll give you two songs. My favorite song is Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine. I absolutely love that song. But I'm really into like I love pop music. I love pop music. I put on Cat's Eye Gnarly and I will twerk. I will twerk, I will twerk. I will just have a good time. And I think that's important for wellness leaders. Let's not be a monk. We are human. We pay bills, we pay rent. Let's not try to be the experts. Let's try to be the observers and the forever students. And let's be open to our own healing and our own guidance as we continue, as it seems scary because it's like I feel like I'm the blind leading the blind, but in reality, yes and no. It's kind of like ants in a sense. Ants can't see, but they work together and they build together and they feel each other out. And that's kind of our roles as yogis, is to feel our community out and support them in any way we can.
Oh, that is so beautiful. What a wonderful way to end. And I love that you said Florence and the Machine, also one of my favorites. I love them so much. I actually used to do yoga to them all the time because I just like love like getting into her beats and stuff like that. Finally, is there any way that people can reach you and do your yoga classes and learn from you? How can people get in touch?
Thank you, Suki. So I have my own website, www.lizacolpa.com. On there are services where you could do tarot, astrology. I also have my YouTube, which Suki, thank you so much for giving a shout out, which is slowly but surely we're growing it, right? We're growing it, Suki. So one step at a time. And I'm on Insight Timer, which is a free meditation, excuse me, which is a free meditation platform, as well as has live classes every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday where we talk about these themes all the time. So you can find me there.
Awesome. I'm going to have to check you out on Insight Timer as well. I love that platform, and I love that we're bringing, you know, conscious communities together and just keep on raising that vibration, keep on raising the consciousness. So thank you, Lisa, so much. It was so nice to have you. Until next time, everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you like Soul Guided with Sookton, leave me a rating. I love to hear from you. I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.